And we are so happy to have our dear Lama here. And Lama Surya, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. And I'll sail with you. And yes, friends, ask the Lama question and response next Saturday. Not just about mantras, but chanting, samadhi, energy, and breath work, concentration, and so forth. Check it out. It's a beautiful Sunday here in the Pilgrim State, Massachusetts. Bright fall, wintry day. So lucky just to be here and to be alive. I've noticed not everybody is alive, that is. Life is tenuous. People go to a youth concert with 50,000 people in Houston, and next thing you know, there's 10 people dead and dozens injured. How does that happen? What the hell's going on? Everybody's so agitated, anxious, and frantic these days. We can't blame the victims. It's systemic. We too. Whatever I just said, agitated, anxious, frantic, overstimulated, juiced up from what goes in and what goes out. Also, as a wise man said, it might have been Jesus, it's not what goes into a person's mouth, but what comes out that defiles them. I like that. Being from the oral lineage myself. So welcome. Today's a beautiful Sunday, day of rest. Turn the clocks back, get an extra hour to rest. Rest is sacred. But to meditate, exercise, and do yoga, pray and chant, whatever you do in the morning, write in your dream journal. What should we do today anyway? What kind of day of rest, of Sabbath, of sun day is it for us? Oh, I get all kinds of messages. Tell them that Yellowstone starts tonight on TV, 2 hours. No, I'm not going to mention that. Cowboy flick. It occurs to me that we usually have a very simple, beautiful, almost secular town hall meditation. We don't talk too much about the mystic lore and ancient timeless law of the Himalayas, of the mystic East, Asia, the Orient, whatever you call it today. East is so relative. And so on. Yesterday we had a master class. We were talking about the Dzogchen way of soaring and swooping down from above with the big picture while climbing up the spiritual mountain or path from below through relative practices, karma, cause and effect, virtue and vice. Climbing up the path from below through relative practices according to our aspirations and inclinations. Swooping while climbing. Somebody asked about flying and the rainbow body and other things. I'm not, that's not my specialty. There are many stories in our tradition, Buddhist mysticism, Vajrayana, miracles, even in the original scriptures of Buddha. A few notable miracles. Buddha did the miracle of Shavasti, where he appeared in the sky in many forms, and other small miracles. But the greatest miracle for us is the miracle of the end of suffering and the opening of nirvanic peace and harmony, enlightenment. And yet there is a lot of talk about flying yogis. There's a book on it. The Flying Masters of the Himalayas, an art book. It's beautiful, showing wall paintings from great temples and Dalai Lama's temple, even in Lhasa. Even in this country, transcendental meditation, coming out of Hinduism, simplified down to a mantra meditation practice, mostly in the 70s, 60s by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the Beatles guru, the Maharishi. Transcendental meditation talks about levitating and claims that its practitioners can levitate. Not only that, since we live in the virtual world today, at least to some extent, you can look up online and see people supposedly levitating and so on, for what it's worth. But we too are interested in the soul's flight, soaring, being elevated, as well as going deeper. So not just unidirectional, but whole, complete, going deeper, getting down from our conning tower into our heart and our belly and the earth, as well as going up and aligning ourselves, the zenith and the nadir, down our spinal column, like the silver string connecting us to the source and the center. So alignment seems important today, not just flight, soaring and swooping by being centered, like the ocean's waves. From the point of view of the great ocean, the waves are just superficial. From the point of view of a canoe or a non-swimmer, they're very dangerous, and there's the peaks and the troughs. But still, it's just ripples on the cosmic tide, on the sea, the great sea of being. Similar, our vacillating feelings and emotions, thoughts and opinions of which there are so many today. And so it seems so hard to understand why others have different opinions than us. We might start to look into that and consider that and notice how similar they are to us, not just how different. Even if they have different opinions, if we came from where they're coming from, if we were brought up that way, if our parents were from there, if we were members of those sects or religions or countries or genders or whatever political parties, we would probably see it the same way. Don't fool yourself. Think you're an independent thinker. It ain't that easy. Easier said than done. I suspect if I grew up in the 1930s in Germany, I'd be part of those things if my parents were, but I'm not proud to mention, so I won't. Just like growing up in the suburbs of New York in the 50s, being part of the Boy Scouts, the Little Leagues, the surfers, the sports fans, and all the rest. Thinking for ourselves doesn't come that easily. The first step could be to step back, take a breath, settle down, clear our hearts and minds, and then everything can become clearer. Not just relying on thinking, taking refuge in thoughts alone. There's more to life than that. Intuition, emotional intelligence, psychic awareness, spatial awareness, relational intelligence, existential intelligence, and so on. Body wisdom, common sense. Thinking for oneself ain't that easy, but feeling one feels, feelings one feelings, more easy, yet equally challenging, in that we might have long had come to the habit of suppressing or repressing them. So in the name of authenticity, elevating and deepening ourselves, not just flying, as the Dalai Lama says, we have planes today for that. Yes, I flew here from India yesterday on a plane. Yet what makes our spirit soar? Our heart soars. How do we unfold the wings of our heart, as the Sufis sing? Open mind rather than closed mind, etc. Not that size is the only metric, not just big, but open, and whatever that means. Tolerant, friendly, trusting, patient, listening, not just jumping to conclusions based on first impressions. We live in such a partisan world today, wherever we turn. It's really becoming an issue, and trying to make progress is so hard. We seem to be caught in an impasse. Can't get through, stuck between a rock and a hard place. of us and them, of avarice on one hand and fear, aversion on the other. How can we even out, equalize self and other, like in the Mahayana Tibetan Buddhist practice of Tonglen, giving and receiving, Tonglen, sending and taking, putting oneself in the other's place, seeing it through our other's eyes, Tonglen, exchanging self and others. A great practice for reversing the tendency to crave and grasp whatever we think we want and need, and to push away what we think will make us unhappy. And try to take a little bit longer view and feel what we feel and have a moment of mindfulness before we react blindly with a knee-jerk reaction. Feel what we feel and have a moment of mindfulness and breathe, relax, and smile, and then consider how, when, and if to respond. This is the secret, as I always say, of mindful anger management. Breathe, relax, and respond. Not just knee-jerk reaction, but a considered, principled, mindful response to make all the difference now or later. It doesn't have to be right now. Consider how, when, and if to respond, not just blindly knee-jerk react right then when somebody steps on your toe in the elevator. Mindfulness, awareness, practice, awareness is curative, has so many benefits. It's amazing. I love it. Daily practice, let's say every morning. Weekly practice, let's say with your meditation group or house of worship. Monthly or seasonal retreats to intensify, to learn, to go deeper. The Sangha 8 with the other kindred spirits in the Sangha, the beloved community. These are the ways that we walk the path together, and no one can do it alone. Even the Dalai Lama says that, a lifelong monk. No one can do it alone. We need each other in order to develop heartfelt, empathic warmth and compassion, empathy, not just equanimous, calm and clear, clarity. Thus, we balance the two wings of wisdom and method, or compassion and action, the absolute and relative aspects in Buddhist philosophy. You can read a lot about this in the books on the middle way, Madhyamika, middle way philosophy of Buddhism. Absolute, ultimate reality, shunyata, inconceivable, the shining void, the great subjectivity on one hand, and on the other, the precise attention to details of karma, of cause and effect, of what's conducive and what's unconducive, the happiness and wellness individually and collectively and globally. As Padmasambhava said, my view is higher than the sky. That's the ultimate truth dimension. And yet, my action regarding cause and effect is finely ground, as finely ground barley flour, is as meticulous as finely ground barley flour. So can we balance those apparent contradictions or paradoxes and be both and, not just either or? Being lost in emptiness is also an illness. As the Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna, the charioteer of the Nagas, the protectors of the permeate the Nagas, the dragon, serpent kings protecting the Nagas, secreted deep in the sea. As Nagarjuna said, sad are those who cling to material reality, but woeful those who cling to emptiness and nothingness. So let's not fall into the extremes of materialism or, on the other hand, nihilism. Why woe to those who cling to nihilism, to nothingness, to shunyata, to the empty side of things, and say, oh, it's just a dream, doesn't matter. Or we'll get to better in the next life. Nagarjuna says, those who cling to emptiness, if you offer them a hand to help to pull them out of the hole, they say no hand, no hole, and they're stuck. Some of us may be like that, so beware. Don't get stuck in a holding pattern in your meditation of dozing, of vagueness, of nihilism. Nothing matters. Life is just a dream. Doesn't matter. I'll sweep the garbage under the carpet. We'll sweep the radioactive waste into the rivers or under the ocean. We'll put it in a concrete box that is good for 50 or 100 years. Terrific, good thinking. Not. Denial is probably the greatest river that runs through our country. Let's beware about denial, about spiritual bypassing, going around things, doing an end run around the real issues, and other ways we deceive ourselves. Self-deception is one of the greatest pitfalls and sidetracks in the spiritual path. As truth seekers, it's not just about not lying, it's also about not deceiving others and ourselves. And being open, questioning. Even if we look into the roots, the etymological roots of the word now translated often as mindfulness or mindful awareness, sati, smriti, in the original old Buddhist languages of Indian. It's not just about presence of mind, non-reactive, non-judgmental, present attention, mindfulness, as we say today, secular mindfulness. Part of it is also friendliness, openness, curiosity, interest. As we say in Dzogchen, soaring, elevating. Wonderment, wonder, like a child, little child for whom everything they see is like for the first time. They don't even have any name or concepts for it, not to mention fear about it or desire to corner the market in it, gather it all for themselves. Just, And when we're with those children, not to over-idealize how perfect children are or that they're a blank slate, because they're not really, but don't we enjoy and long for and return to, even in the moment, that spontaneous innocence, the Garden of Eden within? Imaho, wonderment, we call it in Dzogchen, the shortest Dzogchen teaching. Wondrous, wonderment. Awesome. Inconceivable. What the hell? Oh yeah. Far out. Out of sight. Cool. Dope. Fantastic. Imaho. Not just, seen that already. Isn't there anything else? Been there, done that. Is this all that there is to life? Come on, look deeper. Some people take pills and then they can spend the whole day just looking at the blades of grass or writing whole books about it like Walt Whitman, with or without the psychedelics. Infinite blades of grass. And going deeper, when I am gone, look for me in the grass beneath your feet, he sang around the time of the Civil War. Think about it. That was a long time ago in terms of conscious evolution in this country. Awareness is the key. Awareness is, with capital A, is the higher power in Buddhism, the inner power that we take refuge in. That is the meaning of Buddha. Dharma is the awareness practice or cultivation. And Sangha are the woke ones, the aware ones. Let's not ignore it. Awareness with a capital A plus as the key to being with a capital B plus. Just being as we already are, as it is, leaving it as it is, and resting the weary seeker, striver, multitasking heart and mind. Leave it as it is. Be as is. See it as it is. This is the view, meditation, and action of Dzogchen, the great perfection. So now let's practice that. We're here to meditate together, to elevate the spirit, to nurture the soul, to heal the inner conflicts and return to harmony, as well as the outer afflictions, the physical and mental and emotional, afflictions or imbalances or whatever we call them. It's so simple, friends. Just sitting, just breathing and relaxing. I feel like I have a body memory or an oral auditory memory whenever I hear that. That the person sitting in my seat knows what to do. I don't want to call it the starter gun. That's way too aggressive and like leaping, but something like that. It's the yin to the yang, very yang starter gun or alarm clock. Relaxing, arriving, settling, focusing, grinning, smiling even, enjoying. What a relief, what a release. At ease, at home, on my Buddha seat at last. The right person in the right place at the right time. The three Jews of refuge. Be that. Tatwam Asi, as it says in the ancient Upanishads of India. Thou art that, with capital T's. Thou art that. It means you're it. And we're not playing tag here. It's much deeper than that. Thou art that. Know thyself, as Socrates taught. Know yourself, and you'll know God, as Rabindranath Tagore sang, the poet, first poet, awarded the Nobel Prize winning poet of India. Know thyself, and you'll know God and humanity. So just sitting, just breathing, just being present, attentive, aware, mindful, lucid, whatever you want to call it, presencing, I like to call it. Letting go of the multitasker, the striver. I was thinking about that today as I was writing my memoir myself. The conference hopper, the calendar maximizer, letting go of the project addict, the stimulus seeker, the self-improvement project, the empire builder, even if it's just the empire of self and security, if not a worldly or physical, territorial or financial empire. Letting go of empire building and savoring the good earth, sinking our roots in the good earth and imbibing its nutritious essences. The good earth of life, of this moment, the world of awareness and its nutritious essences, returning home to the natural state of just being. If being is too steep, if it's not enough, be present. Be present and attentive. Cultivate mindful, present awareness, moment to moment, non-reactive, non-judgmental, present awareness, mindful rather mindless, incandescent presence, a luminous, lucid, centerless openness. Everything open, at ease, flowing, in harmony, nothing extra to get rid of, nothing missing or lacking to seek for. As the Zen Master Suzuki Roshi says, sitting Zazen, sitting meditation is sitting Buddha. Walking meditation is walking Buddha. So simple, so lovely to contemplate, so free. Enjoy the buoyant joy of natural meditation and meditation, just being present and aware, luminous. Imaho, wondrous, wonderful, amazing, eureka, hallelujah, swaha, amen. Thank you. This breath, only breath, this moment, the whole moment. Imaho. Thank you. Ah. 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 Eyes open, ears open, nose open, mouth open, throat open, heart open, mind open, diaphragm open, everything open, at ease, decontracted, relaxed, natural. Naturalness is the way, the truth, and the life, the light. Sky gazing, space mingling, infinite dissolving. Leave it as it is, and that's the weary heart and mind, as Longchenpa says. Gymnast Longchenpa. Just see through everything, just be through everything, be through with it all. Wow. Transparent, translucent, interpenetrative, interdependent, interconnected, transrealescent. Receiving the perceiver, looking at the looker, see through oneself, be free in the field. Openness and awareness, inseparable. In the home, way to go. Thank you. I love it. Enjoy the joy of natural meditation, the Genman meditation, undoing the habit of overdoing, unmeditation. Imaho. Fractured, seeing through, being through, seeing through the illusion of separateness. Inhaling deeply and with a big exhalation, relief, release. Emptying yourself totally, dissolving. A little tune up. A little refresher. Revivifying the corpse of naturalness, of pure presence, of lucid awareness, present awareness. Moment to moment, attentive awareness. Let it load off, Mr. Atlas, dropping the world from our shoulders and then sensing who or what is it? Who or what is present? Who, what? Dropping even that to just naked awareness, pure presence, nowness awareness, the authentic, unfabricated Buddha within. Tatai Shepa, Rigpa, Sama Jempa, as the late Holiness Dujun Rinpoche used to say as our Chen Master. Nowness awareness is the unfabricated, natural, raw Buddha within. You dig it? Leave it as it is. There is nirvanic peace and things left just as they are. As 'tis said, Imho. Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Blessings. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Mantra number 3. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 It's the great compassion, unconditional love. May all beings realize it, grow into it, and radiate it. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme. Om Mani Padme Mani Padme Hore. Om 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 Mani Padme Hore. May all beings be happy, awakened, liberated, content, fulfilled, and free. And may we all together complete this glorious spiritual journey. Ah, ho, ho, he, he. Love for one and all, our very own family. May we be healed and whole, well. May there be an end to pandemics, poverty, hunger, disease, droughts, floods, earthquakes, tsunamis, and other natural disasters. May we learn to be better prepared for them. May there be peace in this world, outer peace and inner peace, an end to war and violence at home, abroad, and domestic too, in our homes. An end to war, meanness, and cupidity. A new world, a new dawn for a better future for us and our children and all the generations and all the species and beings on this endangered planet. And may we all together savor, enjoy, and fulfill the spiritual path, the spiritual journey. All the way home, walking each other home, as Ram Dass's latest book on death and dying is called, Walking Each Other Home with Mirabai Bush. Pete did neat. Could we see what? No, it's Kelly. Kelly the Well. Could we see the Drukshin Rinpoche prayer, please, from his Crazy Tale, autobiographical poem? From Dzogchen prayer book. Oh. There it is. Yes. Thank you. I call on you, my teachers, regard me, us, with compassion. I sincerely wish to receive your blessings and encouragement, guidance, and protection and inspiration. Please regard your child's longing desire. Please bless me with the resolve to attain spiritual realization. Please bless me to have a steady and smooth mind, so that for this life and those to follow, as a true practitioner whose heart and mind are in accord, the special intention to help others, that is bodhicitta, is spontaneously present and active. May we be able to benefit measureless numbers of beings, all beings, without distinction or prejudice, without the toxic stains of a competitive mind, without the intoxicating liquor of anger and lust. May I be able to practice the peaceful and soothing, liberating Dharma. Through listening and reflecting and examining and questioning, especially about these Dharma teachings I practice, May I be able to precisely determine their true meaning. Raising the victory flag of ultimate practice, may we be able to accomplish great service to the noble Dharma and to all sentient beings without exception. This is the way I pray all the time, as His Holiness the Dragon Lama Drukchen Rinpoche says, and I request all of you to support these, my prayers. Homage to the Buddha, the light, the divine, in your seat. Don't overlook them. Look at all you shining lotus flowers. American Buddhas, awaken, throw off your chains. Vedantokes, the thought addiction. Join Thinkaholics Anonymous, the 8-step program to free us from being under the power of thoughts and to find refuge in the higher power, the inner power, awareness with a capital A plus. And the inherent freedom and completeness of being. Look at all your shining faces. I see some faces I haven't seen in many moons. Even New Yorkers, you know who you are. Nice to see you. I won't mention any names to protect the guilty, or the guilt ridden, as the case may be. Oh, did I say that or just think it? I hope so. Just thought it. Hi, everybody. Love to you. It's so nice to get together like this, especially in these stressful times, agitated times, pandemic, environmental crises, corruption, selfishness, jingoism, nationalism, racism, and all the rest, social injustice and inequality. What to say? We need an applied Dharma, not just an abstract one, a living practice, and walk our talk and practice what we teach. Not just become encyclopedias of ideas or religions, carrying all our excess baggage, and we have to pay for every kilo of excess baggage. And we have a long baggage train behind us. Not to mix metaphors. Cut the chain. Cut the string. And the mala, there's no more. The beads go everywhere. The string is our memory, our self-concept that holds it all together. Be in the absolute present, not just the relative present, relation to past, present, and future, sequential time, but nowness, now. That is the ultimate therapy, beyond conditioning. We could say beyond karma, but that's a radical, provocative thought, so we won't dwell on that. In the now, there's no past conditioning. Nowness in the fourth time, the fourth fraction. Christian mystics called it the divine time, ascendant time, now, not horizontal, relative, conventional time in which everything that's born dies and decays and all those who are gathered are separated, the law of impermanence of all created things. But now, the new now, not the old now. The now's getting a little jaded. We've been being here now for a long time, but we're still living at a little distance from our body, or living in our heads, or living in the past, or fantasizing the future, or wishing we were elsewhere. If we really want to be elsewhere, we could very well be elsewhere. But this is the only place and time we can be right now, since we're here. Take responsibility. That's karma, not just cause and effect, but conditioning, agency. We reap what we've sown. It's not just an airy fairy or mystical, Eastern religion concept. Goes around, comes around. For a reaction, there's a reaction in kind. Check it out. It's not just Buddhism. I think it's not the new religion, science.
Lama, we have a few questions.
Oh, good. Thanks, Kelly.
Sure. My pleasure.
I forgot anybody else was here, just talking to myself as usual, the three Jews.
So we have a question from Joey, who says he just finished his undergraduate studies in environmental studies, and he's hoping to pursue a career to help with the climate crisis. And he is struggling right now with how does he manage the need to compete in school and advance in a career with not operating from a place of ego? How does he find harmony and balance in the middle way? Sure, a question many people have.
Great question. With or without the personal particulars, environmental crisis, of course, just graduated from school, college, whatever, of course, being Joey, of course, but we all struggle with how to balance or whatever, the middle way. To be or not to be, is that really a question? Or is that just existential thinkaholism? To do or not to do. Outer and inner life, alone and with others, doing and being, self and other. All of these polarities are very intrinsically inseparable. Once we start to think or, tend to one side, the other side is also there or eclipsed, or, it's relational, like yin and yang. Not separate, not two separate, like the chocolate and vanilla cookie icing. So how to balance doing and being, and without getting lost in the abstractions of middle way philosophy, not just either or, but both and, the four-cornered logic of middle way philosophy and so on. But the middle way, Buddha didn't call his teachings the middle way, Buddhism, called it the middle way, beyond extremes like nihilism and materialism, always and never, and so on. Outer and inner, sacred and profane, beyond those dualisms, although they're useful in the relative, like left and right, east and west, north and south is useful in the relative direction, dimension, but not in the absolute. In deep space, you can't say up and down because there's no center of gravity, right? Only in our atmosphere of a planet or something. So all of these dichotomies. So doing and being, how do we balance our life? Ego and unselfish or selfless even, as Joey asked. That's a huge koan, a conundrum, a Zen koan, a conundrum, a riddle, a life question to chew on. No easy answer. How much time alone, how much with others, how much work and play, what's a balanced diet or work week or lifestyle? So these are good questions, especially for young people to ask, but young at heart of any age. And we all have to deal with them in crafting the life that we seek. Not just being victims, but taking responsibility, being accountable, using our agency to be master, not victim of conditions and circumstances. Remember who's on first. Is somebody pulling the strings? Are we puppets? Or what? So ego is a good tool, like intellect, a good tool, but a poor master. The problem is we're too much under its thrall. It leads to selfishness. I don't want to say individualism, so something here, times here. It leads to selfishness, narcissism, and partiality, greed, all the rest, self-protectionism, and not to mention over-patriotism and jingoism and forcing our ideas on others, imperialism, outer and inner, and so on. But we need to have a healthy, individuated adult ego. So it's a very good question, how we grow up and become a mensch and independent and even autonomous within interdependence. Not just a dependent child or codependent, neurotic. How do we become independent and independent, autonomous within interdependence? Have a healthy ego, be able to take care of ourselves and then others and our environment, family, home, community, land, nature, country, planet, solar system, cosmos in the biggest sense. How do we take care of our world, which is not just this world, without an ego? I mean, to be an artist, you have to have some ego to even just put it out there. So it has its assets. The shadows are also light. Shadows are nothing but light. Ego is like the shadow of the divine light, if you want to call it. Now we're talking about dark and light. But carrying it more lightly rather than it carrying us wherever it wants to go. That's the key. It's like a figure ground shift from the small ego self, the separatist, hard-boiled egg bubble of an ego, the tight, constricted sphincter of the ego, the open-handed, open-armed, open-minded, open heart, and not just a jellyfish without a spine either, balance. The middle way is not a razor's edge down the highway of life or the highway of awakening. It's got many lanes. Let's just try to stay out of the ditches on either side, like nihilism, materialism, all or nothing, always and never. Love and hate, they're so inextricably bound. The middle way has many lanes. It's not just the razor's edge, but it's about balance and appropriateness. So that's something for you, was it Joey, to chew on and think about and investigate and read about and ask about and inquire about. Like growing up, we have to find our own way of life, our own true vocation that grows us, not just as we grow a livelihood and support for us and others. True vocation, not just a job that stunts us, but right livelihood, true vocation, the fifth or sixth step on the Eightfold Noble Path. Even Buddha recommended it as a step to enlightenment, on the path of enlightenment. Not just having a job and waiting to get out or waiting for weekends, which may never come. So that's a few thoughts. Balancing ego and aspiration, or authentic vocation, or love, in fact. Oh, a competition is also appropriate sometimes. As one of my friends said in the media, he's all elbows on the basketball, under the boards on the basketball court. If you know what that means. It's all about me. So when you're playing ball, you play to win, but also afterwards, then you go out together and have a beverage or something like that. It's a game. Remember, it's a game, but you still play to win. It's like when you play ping pong with kids, you play to win. You might let them win at a certain point to get them going and empower them and help them and, keep raising the bar with them so they really play. Eventually they can play against themselves, like golfers are really playing against themselves to be better, not just competing with others. So competition is not just a selfish thing. You need ego to compete, but how much you compete and when is enough ever enough? And how many zeros do you need after the number on your, whatever it's called, assets? You don't want to fall into the perfectionism quandary, chasing the ever-rising bar. Again, the middle way. And cultivating contentment along the way and savoring and appreciating, be grateful for what we have, what we're given, for those who help us along the way. Gratitude is a great practice for this, appreciation and savoring. So I hope that's helpful to you, young Buddha, and really relates to all of us, I think. Cultivating contentment. Contentment is the ultimate form of wealth, as it says in Buddhism.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you.
Always. Thank you all for coming. and practicing together. As always, the link in the chat is there to donate any little bit that you can or to become a member. There's lots of benefits to membership, including member-only events and access to downloads through the website. So I hope you all have a lovely, spirited week. And Lama, thank you again.
Thank you. Don't forget, opportunity for Q&R next Saturday.
Yes.
Be well. Happy trails. Take care.
Bye.
Be well. Love to one and all. Bye-bye.